Good evening and welcome to this webinar.
Buonasera e benvenuti a questo webinar.
I'm Thierry Ligonière, the General Manager of Dalival Group.
Sono Thierry Ligonière, direttore generale del gruppo Dalival.
IFO is Dalival's research and development structure specialized in the creation, experimentation and development of new pip and stone fruit genetics.
IFO è la struttura di ricerca e sviluppo di Dalival, specializzata nella creazione, sperimentazione e sviluppo di nuove genetiche di mele e trupacee.
We will present today two apple varieties, Canopy and Tonik, on a new rootstock M200.
Oggi presenteremo due varietà di mele, Canopy e Tonik, e un nuovo portainnesto M200.
Those three innovations will be distributed under an open release scheme.
Queste tre innovazioni saranno distribuite in regime di libero scambio.
Emmanuel?
Good evening. My name is Emmanuel Delaparent. I am the development manager at IFO.
Buonasera, mi chiamo Emmanuel Delaparent. Sono il responsabile dello sviluppo di nuove varietà degli IFO.
With my team, we are in charge of commercial development of new apple varieties and new rootstock from IFO and its partners around the world.
Con il mio team ci occupiamo del lancio commerciale di nuove varietà e portainesti provenienti dall'IFO e dai nostri partner in tutto il mondo.
This webinar is one of the 6 that Dalival is organizing this week in order to present Tonik, Canopy and M200 in Europe.
Questo webinar è uno dei 6 che Dalival sta organizzando questa settimana per presentare Canopy, Tonik e M200 in Europa.
This webinar today will include 3 parts.
Il nostro webinar di oggi comprenderà 3 parti. Ogni parte inizierà con un video e sarà seguita da una sessione di domande e risposte.
You can ask your questions during the videos through the chat.
Potete porre le vostre domande durante il video attraverso la funzione di chat, simboleggiato da questa icona e situata qui in Microsoft Teams.
First, let's start with Canopy, our new green apple.
La prima cosa, iniziamo con Canopy, la nostra nuova mela verde.
Hello everybody, my name is Florian Guida and I'm working for IFO and Dalival as a variety project manager.
Hello everybody, I'm Frédéric Bernard, manager of IFO, and we are very glad to introduce to you the new variety Canopy. I will first present you the story of Canopy. IFO company was created in 2004. Since its very beginning, one of the objectives of our apple breeding program was to create a new green variety to be an alternative to Granny Smith and having the scab-resistant gene RVI6. In addition, the target was also to create a variety that was also as green as Granny Smith and remains green after storage. And finally, that is not more sensitive to pink blush development. So Canopy was born by a cross carried out in 2004. The seedlings from those pips were inoculated by scab to discard all the ones that were not resistant to scab. We finally obtained 166 different hybrids planted for the first step and evaluated for 4 to 5 years in the orchard. In the next step, which is called the level 1, only 5 candidates were remaining and we planted 4 trees of each. Those candidates were evaluated again for 4 to 5 years. And finally, the last stage, called level 2, was planted only with 1 candidate, which is Canopy, that was still performing very well in the orchard and confirming its interest as an alternative to Granny Smith. In the end, it took almost 20 years to create Canopy, from the crossing to the decision to launch it on the market and to test it in many European countries. These European trials have confirmed the potential of Canopy across the continent. In terms of appearance, you can see on the pictures that Canopy looks very similar to Granny Smith. Sometimes, depending on the climatic conditions, Canopy can develop some lenticels with resetting. In terms of eating qualities, taste profile of Canopy is dominantly acidic. The observations carried out by the French experimental station of La Morinière show that the level of acidity of Canopy is very similar to the one of Granny Smith. In terms of Brix index, which represents the sugar level, Canopy is slightly sweeter than Granny Smith, and the bigger difference is due to the higher firmness of Canopy compared to Granny Smith. On the second picture, we show the results from testing sessions held at IFO on an unexperienced test panel of consumers. The trends are comparable to the measurements from La Morinière, with the same level of acidity, but a higher sweetness and a higher firmness for Canopy. Finally, the texture, the juiciness, and the intensity of the aroma are all higher for Canopy compared to Granny Smith. We can then conclude that Granny Smith consumers will also appreciate Canopy. I now give the floor to Florian Guida, who will present the agronomic performance of Canopy.
Thanks, Frédéric, for your presentation. Now you've seen that Canopy and Granny Smith are very similar in terms of fruits. Let's see what makes Canopy special on a grower perspective. Let's start with the tree shape. Every grower knows how it's difficult to properly manage a Granny Smith tree with big branches, blindwood issues. You can see a diagram of a Granny Smith tree on the right side of this diagram. Canopy is more similar to Gala and Golden Rinder, with many balanced fruiting branches and no blindwood issues, as you can see on the left of the diagram. So this makes Canopy easier to grow and more productive because you have more fruiting branches. The second strength of Canopy is its tolerance to pests and diseases. Genetically speaking, Canopy has resistance to scab with the RVI6 gene and tolerance to rosy aphids with the gene DPFL-LG8. So you could say that it's a good start, but how it's performing in the orchard? To answer these questions, so we sent a survey to the research stations trialing Canopy in Europe. Here on this map, you can see the station which sent us their feedback. We divided them into 3 categories for each pest and disease which have been evaluated, starting with scab, then rosy aphids, European cankers, and powdery mildews. The first category represents the stations which have found Canopy more susceptible to these diseases than Granny Smith. The second category is for the stations which found the same level of susceptibility. And the third category is for the stations which found Canopy less susceptible than Granny Smith. So let's see the results, starting with scab. So 88% of the stations have found Canopy less susceptible to scab than Granny Smith. It's not that surprising given the gene of resistance we have on Canopy, but it's still a very positive result. Now, if we look on rosy aphids, European cankers, and powdery mildews, we also have very good results because at least half of the stations have found a Canopy and Granny Smith with the same susceptibility. But even more interesting is that many of them find Canopy less susceptible than Granny Smith to these diseases. So it's quite positive overall, and we can say that in most of cases, Canopy is performing similar or better than Granny Smith for the main pests and diseases we evaluated. Since Canopy is a green variety, you could imagine to use it as a pollinator. In terms of genetic compatibility, Canopy carries the same S allele gene which make Granny Smith a good pollinator. So we are talking about S23. So as Granny Smith is compatible with most of the commercial variety, it is also the case for Canopy. In terms of pollination period, so Canopy blooms at the same period as Granny Smith and within the same range of dates. So we have evaluated it on the European network I've just presented before. Since we have these good two parameters, we also wanted to evaluate the potential of pollination on site. So we did some trials at the IFO research station. A pollination trial is very easy. So you pollinate manually several flowers, and then you count how many fruits you obtain from these flowers. In our trial, we pollinated 15 flowers per repetition. And here on this diagram, you can see the number of fruits we have obtained from these flowers. Overall, the conclusion is that Canopy and Granny Smith have the same pollination potential just because we have obtained roughly the same number of fruits, even if you see minor difference, for example, on Gala, the number of fruits is very limited. So Canopy seems to be quite a good pollination option, especially if you're working with scab resistant blocks where Canopy will express its full potential. We can't finish without talking about harvest and storage potential. So in terms of harvest dates, we have observed that Canopy can be harvested 1 week later than Granny Smith if you want to have the same starch degradation. In terms of storage potential, so several years of evaluation in partnership with the CTFL La Morinière didn't show any difference between Canopy and Granny Smith, especially on scald susceptibility. So same storage potential, same susceptibility to scald between Granny Smith and Canopy. Then a very important point to be mentioned is that Canopy is maintaining the green coloration you have at harvest during its storage. Before we conclude, we want to give the floor to the La Morinière station, and Ségolène Dandin will share her experience on the potential of Canopy.
Hello everybody, I'm Ségolène Dandin. I work at CTIFL La Morinière in France, in Loire-Vallée, and I will present you my experience on Canopy. I will present you the synthesis of 3 years of observation in CTIFL La Morinière. So about harvest data, we can see on the first graph that we have trees on a conventional orchard and we have trees on organic orchard. For the both, we have on cumulated higher production for Canopy than for Challenger. On the second graph, we can see that sizing for organic orchard, and we can see the same graph for conventional orchard. On this graph, we can see on the cumulative that we have smaller fruits for Canopy than for Challenger. We also can see that we have 20% fruits too big on Challenger. And we can see on the cumulative for Canopy that we have 20% fruits too small. We can see that the yield for Canopy is higher than for Challenger because we have more fruits. About susceptibility, we can see that like in the European results, we have the same result on La Morinière in Loire-Vallée. We can see also that we have a reset on the apples of Canopy. In the organic orchard, it's due to the application of copper on our organic program, which induce these marks. On this slide, we can see that the maturity of Canopy is later than Challenger. On the first graph, we can see the stars regression. The one color is 1 year of production and is one orchard. So in 2021 and 2022, the 2 first years of production, we harvest Challenger and Canopy at the same date. And we can see that for the same date, we have a difference of 1 point or 2 points of stars regression. In 2023, we try to harvest Challenger and Canopy at the same stars regression. So we have about 10 days of difference between the 2 varieties in conventional orchard and in organic orchard. About sugar level, we can see that we always have sugar level higher for Canopy than for Challenger in organic orchard and in conventional orchard. Even if we have more production with Canopy and than with the Challenger. About the scale, we have done trials in pre-harvest scale. In 2021, we didn't see difference between Canopy and Challenger, and in 2022, we didn't see scale on the both varieties. We will done trial in 2023 with the new harvest. So Canopy seems to be a good alternative to Challenger in our condition. With this 3 years of observation, and we will continue this observation in La Morinière.
Thanks, Ségolène, for this very positive feedback. So to conclude with, Canopy is an apple for Granny Smith consumers. It's an easy-to-grow variety with good tolerances to diseases, and it's a good alternative as a pollinator. So definitely, Canopy is the scab-resistant apple that challenges Granny Smith, no matter if it's in full block or as a pollinator, as an organic or as a conventional variety. We are sure that it will fit your orchard, and we are now at your disposal to answer any of your questions.
If there is any question, please do not hesitate to use the chat. Gérard, if you can translate.
Sì, c'è una richiesta ed è c'è ruginosità. La risposta sarebbe a volte si nota un po' di ruggine intorno alle lenticelle, ma non in tutte le condizioni, e non è un problema nell'agricoltura convenzionale. In agricoltura biologica bisogna fare attenzione ai prodotti che si usano. Per il momento non ci sono altre domande.
If no more question, then to conclude on Canopy, you've understood that this new apple has good market potential, we believe, because of its taste profile and also because of its orchard performance for the benefit of the fruit growers.
Per concludere, Canopy è una nuova mela verde con un grande potenziale di mercato grazie al suo profilo gustativo che è in sintonia con quello dei consumatori di grani e le sue prestazioni nei frutteti a vantaggio dei frutticoltori.
And now let's focus on Tonik, our new bicolored apple.
E ora concentriamoci su Tonik, la nuova mela bicolore di IFO.
Hi, my name is Margot. I am Project Development Manager at Dalival IFO. And I am Valérie, Head of Breeding at IFO. And we are happy to present to you Tonik, the variety with a tonic taste all year round. We observed Tonik for the first time in 2007. Its attractive color caught our eye in the orchard. Tonik is a bicolor apple with a bright pink-red skin color. From the beginning, we had the feeling that the variety had exceptional storage potential because even after storage, the variety stood out. The variety is not only attractive, it also has a very enjoyable bite thanks to its tonic taste. The harvest parameters of Tonik measured for a period of 5 years by the research station La Morinière in France illustrate well this tonic taste profile. As you can see, the flesh is very firm, with 9 kg per square centimeter, a sugar level of 15 degrees Brix, and a malic acidity of 8.5 grams per liter. Tonic sanguinese at harvest slowly decreases during storage and makes Tonik a well-balanced apple. In summary, the fruit has a balanced flavor with a high level of sugar and acidity and a firm and juicy texture. This taste profile has also been confirmed in a blind test that was set up by the research station Rheinfalk in Germany. Tonik was compared to commercial variety Envie. As you can see on the graph, the panel evaluated the flesh quality of the two varieties as very similar. Both received high scores on firmness, juice, and crunch. The observed difference between the two varieties is that Envie, the yellow line, is a sweet apple, whereas Tonik, the red line, has a good level of acidity. In other tests carried out by the same research station, Tonik was compared to Brabant after 5 months of storage. The result is very clear. Tonik had maintained its eating qualities, while Brabant in green received a very low score on almost all aspects. The last graph displays a test that was done at IFO by a non-expert panel. The variety was compared to Story in her head, the blue line. A variety is known for its storability. Here, the panel perceived the firmness as similar, but Tonik scored better on juice and texture. Overall, Tonik is appreciated for its eating qualities by the different panels. Now that we've talked about the fruit itself, its look and taste, Margot will move on with the tree performance.
Tonik has a good performance in the orchard with regular yields and good fruit size. 7 years of observation at the research station La Morinière in France teach us that on average the main fruit size is between 75 and 85 millimeters. These are the orange and gray segments. Main fruit production is on the terminal bud, which makes this tree easy to prune, and both spindle and fruiting wall as training systems are well suited. Especially Tonik can thrive well in a fruiting wall thanks to the good fruit size and its ability to grow fruits close to the trunk. And for the same reason, mechanical pruning is not a problem. The pictures of the 9th-leaf trees are trees in fruit wall. This picture is taken 3 weeks before harvest. And next to it is a picture taken at harvest. These trees are in spindle, 4th-leaf trees at IFO. So this picture taken at IFO, and here we cut the top of the trees at 2 meters for practical reasons, which explains the height for these 4th-leaf trees. In terms of thinning, Tonik belongs to the group of varieties that is relatively easy to thin, which in practice means that we'd recommend a chemical thinning program that is close to golden, rather than to that of Gala. On tolerances to pests and diseases, we got feedback from 10 research stations in Europe that evaluated the susceptibility of tonic in comparison to Gala on the field. And the result is very clear. Overall, tonic is considered to be less susceptible than Gala for all pests and diseases. All stations agree that tonic is less susceptible to scab than Gala, and also for European canker, 80% of the research stations find tonic less susceptible. When we look at rosy aphids and powdery mildew, about 60% of the stations find it less susceptible, and the rest judge that tonic is at the same level of Gala. On harvest and storage potential, tonic is harvested after Fuji. Fruits can be picked at an advanced level of starch degradation, and because it ripens slowly on the tree and that the fruits don't drop, tonic has a very large harvest window. For the same reason, it's very suitable to use mechanical leaf removal. And as well in storage, the maturation progresses slowly. Fruits can be stored for at least 8 months in regular cold storage without 1 MCP, Smart Fresh, and still maintain their eating qualities. We've already pushed it to 12 months and discovered that even in regular air, the fruits remain firm and keep some level of acidity. This is the picture on the right that show tonic after 12 months of storage. We've let the participants of the field day last October at IFO taste some of these fruits that have been stored for 12 months, and they were very impressed by the texture. Of course, you can see that after 12 months of storage, the background of the fruits become yellow. In 2022, the research station KOB Bavendorf in Germany has carried out a storage trial with tonic. They stored fruits in 12 different storage modalities at 1 and 3 degrees, at regular air and controlled atmosphere with different levels of CO2, and all modalities with and without Smart Fresh. And now Bavendorf will share their main findings with you.
Hello there, my name is Felix Büchele. I'm a post-harvest researcher at the Lake of Constance Research Center for Food Cultivation in Southern Germany. I would like to give a very quick summary or overview of our first results or first impressions with the storability of the apple variety Tonik. We've now conducted 1 storage experiment in the past season, have 1 currently going on. So these are some very preliminary results that needs to be confirmed, but of course there is some trends that you can already identify. For our experiment, we had fruit from a local grower. They were harvested in the middle of October, and we stored them for 6.5 months until May, middle of May, under different storage conditions, which was then followed by a shelf life simulation where we kept the fruit for 7 days at 20 degrees Celsius to basically simulate in what condition the fruit would then arrive at the consumers. So a very quick summary of our results of the quality parameters that we investigated. In the 3 figures there, I show the firmness, the acidity values, and the ground peel color of the tonic apples after storage. All of the values are shown of the treatments that were stored at 1 degree Celsius. On the left in each figure, you can see the values from cold storage without and with MCP. And on the right, I show the values of CA storage, so that was 1% oxygen and 2.5% CO2. Firmness. In terms of firmness, we could see a very high, very promising firmness conservation of the tonic apple variety. Of course, there was a little bit of a loss of firmness in just cold storage, but this is not really a common practice to keep fruit just under low temperature for this duration. But yeah, we saw a high effectiveness of 1 MCP in our ice storage. So with additional 1 MCP, the values of the time of harvest, so this horizontal line that is shown in the figure, could be 100% maintained. The same thing for CA conditions, even without MCP application. So yeah, again, tonic very high firmness maintenance for the storage period, even for the time after the shelf life. Simulations still very high values. Increasing the temperature to 3 degrees Celsius did not show a negative effect on the firmness values in Tonik, and there was not really a difference to be found between lower CO2 levels and higher CO2 levels. For 1 MCP, of course, in CA conditions, there was little extra benefit regarding the firmness values because the values of the time of harvest could be 100% maintained. For the acidity values, we saw a little loss of acidity there. That is, of course, to be expected due to the respiration of the food. We saw that 1 MCP application results in a little bit higher acidity values in cold storage, similar to CA conditions. Again, there was little difference there. So yeah, in general, and especially compared to other apple varieties, we see lower or slower acid loss or acid consumption in this Tonik variety. So depending on the customers, on the consumers, this is something that perhaps should be considered. For the pH toleration, we saw that CA conditions maintain a greener peel color of the apples compared to cold storage. So in the feeder, it shows lower values mean a greener peel color than with the higher values. And again, generally CA conditions maintains a better or greener peel coloration, which is just shows fresh or just shows a fresh appearance of the fruit. 1 MCP has less of an effect on the peel coloration in cold storage and also not in CA. And also what we saw, increasing the temperature to 3 degrees Celsius can in some instances accelerate the changes in peel coloration. So in that regard, lower temperatures are to be preferred just based on these results. And overall, what we can see is that under CA conditions with higher CO2 levels of 2.5%, the Tonik apple variety shows a very high quality conservation, a very promising storage potential, possibly even for longer storage durations that remains to be confirmed then, of course, in further studies. So, of course, a big component of our fruit analysis is also the visual evaluation of the fruit material, meaning we're looking for any possible susceptibilities of the Tonik variety to the conditions we establish in the room, meaning is there a sensitivity to chilling injuries or to low oxygen stress of fermentation or to higher CO2 levels? And what we found so far, this is of course only the results of 1 year, but there were none of the CA treatments, any disorders symptoms to be found related to low oxygen stress. So we didn't find any internal browning symptoms or cavities, and also higher CO2 levels of up to 2.5% didn't induce any possible skin necrosis. For chilling injuries, same thing. Even at the lower temperatures of 1 degree Celsius, we didn't find any damages caused by low temperature. Higher temperatures, on the other hand, appeared to increase shrivel symptoms a little bit, but still in CA storage, the percentage was very low. So this is, must be confirmed in further studies, of course. 1 MCP appeared to reduce some disorder symptoms, also shriveling, for example, but again, we had so low percentages that this is something that needs to be seen in further studies. Overall, we can say that there were not any, or we couldn't identify in this experiment any susceptibilities to any of the storage conditions, so that suggests a high flexibility or high storability for the Tonik variety. The only thing that we noticed in our fruit material specifically is high prominence of staph symptoms, but that was found across all treatments, and that just shows that was unrelated to the storage conditions, and of course is rather related to pre-harvest factors. And we know from the farmer, from the grower where we received our fruit material from, is that there was sort of a reduced fungicide application strategy. So it is unlikely, or it's not confirmed in any way that Tonik has a susceptibility to this pathogen. And this is also, it is unlikely that this is related to the storage conditions itself, just from, of course, based on the analysis of the quality parameters that I described earlier, and our disorder evaluation, we can see from our experiment a very high or very promising storage potential for even longer times. Of course, again, this is only 1 year and needs to be confirmed, but the first results are promising.
Thank you very much, Felix Buchele, for sharing these results on the storage trial with Tonik. So what should you remember from this presentation? That Tonik is an attractive bicolored apple with good fruit size, that it has high levels of sugar and acidity, with trees that are productive and easy to grow, and most of all, an excellent storage potential. Or another way to say it, Tonik is an apple with a tonic taste all year round.
Gerhard, any question, any comment?
Sì, c'è una richiesta ed è: quali sono i suoi difetti? Allora, per rispondere, per essere prodotta ha bisogno di condizioni pedoclimatiche particolari che ne limitano l'area di produzione, e da evitare nel bacino del Mediterraneo, dove la colorazione non sarà ottimale e la pezzatura dei frutti potrebbe essere eccessiva, e nel nord Europa a causa della data di raccolta molto tardiva. Poi c'è una domanda: Tonik è sensibile al colpo di fuoco? Cosa si può dire a proposito? Passo la parola a Emmanuel.
Emmanuel Margot.
Due to its late harvest timing, under our growing condition, the variety does not appear to be especially susceptible to sunburn.
Allora, da quello che abbiamo osservato fino adesso, anche con la raccolta molto ritardata, non si sono verificate delle bruciature o colpo di sunburn. Scusa.
Tonik has been tested for many years in many research stations throughout Europe, and susceptibility to sunburn was not an issue.
Allora è stata testata in diverse posizioni a livello europeo e la sensibilità non è risultata particolarmente elevata. Un'altra domanda: has Tonik genetic resistant trait to scab?
So Tonik does not have a genetic resistant trait to scab. It's not RVI6.
Allora, Tonik non ha una resistenza all'articolatura.
But the trials that have been carried out throughout Europe show that it has a good tolerance.
Ma da tutte le prove che sono state fatte a livello europeo mostrano che è abbastanza tollerante, cioè non particolarmente sensibile. Poi, after it's another question, at what altitude the trees can be planted? A che altitudine sono consigliate le coltivazioni?
We would recommend to plant the trees in not at low altitude because you might then get excessive fruit size. So we would recommend to plant Tonik at medium altitude, also maybe not too high because of its late harvest time.
Allora, noi consigliamo di non piantarla in pianura perché c'è il rischio che la pezzatura della mela diventi troppo grossa. Però noi consigliamo in un'altitudine media, neanche troppo alto perché c'è il rischio di una maturazione troppo tardiva.
Thank you for those questions. If more questions, no problem to contact Gerhard or the Dalival team after the webinar. Ok,
allora concludiamo questa presentazione di Tonik e non esitate di contattarci o me o se no il team di Dalival per avere ulteriori informazioni.
So in summary, Tonik is a grower-friendly apple with a rich taste and a great storage potential.
Concludendo, si può dire che Tonik è una mela adatto ai coltivatori, con un gusto pieno, decisamente non noioso ed un potenziale di conservazione molto lungo.
And now to finish, let's talk about the M200 rootstock.
E adesso per finire parliamo del portainnesto M200.
Hello everyone, I'm Clément Compagnon. I'm working at IFO as apple breeder, and a part of my job is working on rootstock evaluation for IFO Dalival.
Hello everybody, my name is Frédéric Michaud. I'm in charge of subsidiaries and nurseries for Dalival Group, and in parallel, I'm in charge of Italian and Central Asia markets. I'm going to share a presentation of M200. I'm going first to speak about Dalival rootstock strategy. Dalival is involved in 3 main programs in the world: Geneva in US, Ismailing in UK, and PFR in New Zealand. Dalival targets is not to launch rootstocks by any means, but to find technical solutions to various problems and to provide answers to fruit growers' expectations, such as increasing productivity, proposing different types of vigors, adapting rootstock to different soils, but also to different varieties, and of course, finding rootstocks with disease resistances. In conclusion, our main target is to select the best selections for each range of vigor. Just to give you some key figures, rootstock takes 15 to 20 years, then testing it within different conditions takes another 15 to 30 years. So in total, 30 to 50 years until the commercial development. Today, Dalival has around 55 to 30 years experience with M200. Now we are going to watch a presentation of M200 from Feli Fernandez from Ismaili Research Station.
So I'm Feli Fernandez. Welcome to Ismaili Research Station, part of the NIAB group. I am one of the senior breeders here at Ismaili, and I'm responsible for rootstock breeding. So M200 is derived from a cross carried at Ismaili in 1971. In the 1990s, it had moved to international trials and it has been evaluated in France, Italy, as well as Germany. Now we have got quite a lot of data comparing M200 with M9. It has got better disease resistance, so it's not fully resistant, but it has some tolerance to phytophthora, so crown rot. European canker, it shows much better performance than M9. And also it has got some fire blight tolerance. Again, not a full resistance, but much improved from M9. In terms of productivity, it's also more productive, and it has, with a comparable range of fruit size. It has got a very seamless graft union, so it produces a very stable tree in the orchard. Also, it does reasonably well on replant conditions, so it's an option for that kind of orchard as well.
I will give you a quick summary about M200 tolerances. So we can see that M200 has a lot of improvement regarding disease resistance compared to M9, especially for fire blight resistance. It doesn't produce so much sucker and burnout, which is very interesting because of weed control. It's well adapted in replant situation. And if we compare disease resistance level between M200 and G11, we can see that both rootstock have almost the same level of resistance. So now I will present you some rootstock trial results from 4 different research stations over Europe. So the first rootstock trial is a golden rinders planted in 2012 at IFO Dalival. The second one is planted at Langbourg, South Tyrol in Italy with Galabucai in 2014. The third one is planted at CTFL La Morinière with Dalinet in 2015. And the last one is planted at Heidegg, Austria with Dalival in 2017. So we will talk first about vigor. So in the chart, vigor is measured with a trunk circumference 20 centimeters above the graft union. This measurement allows us to sort rootstock by their ability to grow. So we can see that in both rootstock trials, so the first one, which is golden rinders at IFO, and the second one, Gala at Limbourg, we can see that M200 is much more vigorous than M9 Pajam2 in this location, with about 30% more vigorous than M9. And at Langbourg, we can see that M200 is about 40% more vigorous than M9 337. And then if we compare G11 between M9 and M200, we can see that G11 is a medium vigor. So in the next 2 trials, which are Dalinet, La Morinière, and Dalival in Heidegg, we can see that M200 is also 20% more vigorous than M9. M200 is generally more vigorous than G11 for about 5 to 10%. But in some cases, depending on the soil and weather condition, but also depending on the variety, the difference of vigor between G11 and M200 can be more or less the same. What you need to remember is that on average, M200 is about 20 to 25% more vigorous than M9 Pajam2. So now let's talk about cumulative production. In the following chart, we will talk about kilogram per tree. So in this trial, golden rounders at IFO and Gala at Langbourg, we can see that M200 has a much higher production than M9 for about 50 to 60%. And also that M200 is more productive than G11 for about 30%. In the two other trials, which are Dalival La Morinière and Dalival Heidegg, we can see that M200 has a higher production than M9, but depending on the situation and the variety, these increases can be more or less important. The important thing to remember is that in most cases, M200 has a much higher production per tree than M9 type, and depending on the situation, M200 is often better than G11, and sometimes it's very close to it. And now I'm presenting you the percentages of fruits with a range size over 70 millimeters. So in this result, I present you 3 different rootstock trials, which are golden rounders at IFO, Buckeye at Langbourg, and Dalival at La Morinière. In this result, we can see that the proportion of fruit with a size over 70 millimeters is very close between M9, G11, and M200. Just a few percentage difference in either direction. So it's important to remember that even if the productivity of M200 is much higher than M9, you keep the full range of fruit size compared to M9. So now I'm giving the floor to Frédéric.
Here, we did some economic calculation using our rootstock trial results. In this test, there are 3 replications of randomized trees per rootstock. The planting density is the same. These calculations take in consideration prices for each caliber. The chart represents the cumulative turnover in percentage after 10 years of production, based on M9 Pajam 2, which is the reference with 100%. In conclusion, with M200, you earn 3 extra years of turnover compared to M9 Pajam 2 after 10 years, representing a 57% increase of income. Here, we have done the same work with Gala Brookfield. This chart represents the cumulative turnover in percentage after 7 years of production based on M9 Pajam 2, which is the reference with 100%. In conclusion, with M200, you earn 2 to 3 years extra years of turnover compared to M9 Pajam 2, representing 100% increase of income, which is really impressive. To summarize, M200 is 30% more productive than M9, produce the same range of fruit size as M9, and it's 20 to 30% more vigorous than M9 337. We would recommend to use M200 in the following conditions. For varieties with a weak or medium vigor, in areas affected by fire blight, for bi-axis or multi-axis growing systems where vigor is necessary, in replanted soil situation with soil fatigue, but also for organic cultivation where nitrogen supply is limited. Also, M200 produces less suckers, which is an advantage when you cannot use chemical weed control. In conclusion, M200 brings to fruit growers a lot of advantages and increase the orchard performance. Thanks for your attention.
Allora abbiamo una domanda, come si comporta nel ristoppio e con afi dell'anigero? What's the comportation with replanting and with woody aphid?
So M200 is well adapted for a replant situation, but it's susceptible to woolly aphid. We consider it has the same level of sensitivity as M9 for woolly aphid.
Allora, per quanto riguarda lo ristoppio è molto indicato, invece per quanto riguarda l'afide dell'anigero è allo stesso livello di un M9. Poi, there's another question. Mi sembra di capire quindi sia molto simile al portainnesto G11, praticamente su tutti gli aspetti. It seems that the Wigo is comparable to G11 under all the conditions.
No.
What's your experience?
No, we consider it a little bit more vigorous than G11, about 5 to 10% more vigorous than G11. So we have different. We consider it different as G11, more vigorous. So not we don't use it in the same condition.
Allora, per noi è più vigoroso di G11 di un 10-15%. E perciò non è indicato in zone dove la vigoria è troppo forte.
Our experience show that M200 performs better in conditions where G11 is not enough, is not performing enough.
Allora, secondo la nostra esperienza è che M200 la performance è più elevata o è più indicata dove G11 non ha una vigoria sufficiente. Poi c'è un'altra domanda: ha una resa in vivaio migliore di G11? The results in the nursery is better than G11?
Yeah, we would say yes, because of the grafting, which is very smooth, and the compatibility with the Cyan variety, which is very, very good.
Allora, sicuramente la resa in vivaio è migliore di G11, anche perché la compatibilità con diverse varietà è migliore che non con G11. E poi bisogna anche considerare che il portainnesto è molto liscio, cioè non crea dei nodi particolarmente elevati. Questo, secondo le esperienze che abbiamo avuto fino adesso, è indicato anche per la coltivazione biologica, dove il diserbo meccanico con delle macchine può causare dei danni abbastanza sostenuti con dei portainesti con dei nodi troppo grossi, che questa il portainnesto non ha. Le varietà appena presentate e il portainnesto in questione, quando verranno messi in vendita? The variety we present and the rootstock, when will they be on the market?
Yeah, all those new genetic are available on the market at this stage. By Dalival, we have already started to propagate Canopy and Tonik. And for the M200, we have now planted the first two beds 5 years ago. and we have already consequent quantities of rootstocks in our nursery coming. Yeah.
Allora, per quanto riguarda le due varietà, attualmente sono accessibili nel nostro carnet ed è anche il portainnesto stiamo sviluppando, fatto sta che la prima cepaia è stata piantata 5 anni fa e attualmente abbiamo già a disposizione una quantità abbastanza sostenuta di questo portainnesto e porteremo avanti in futuro questo discorso.
So time to conclude. So because of its productivity and its tolerances, M200 will bring you better performance in the orchard, especially in conditions where M9 is struggling.
Allora, per concludere, grazie alla sua produttività, allo sviluppo della chioma e alle sue tolleranze, M200 vi consentirà di ottenere migliori prestazioni del frutteto in condizioni in cui M9 è in difficoltà.
And to finish, the last few words from Thierry Ligonier.
Ed ora le ultime parole a Thierry Ligonier.
We hope you enjoyed this webinar.
Ci auguriamo che questo webinar vi sia piaciuto.
This webinar will be followed by field days in your country at Harvest 2024.
Questo webinar sarà o avrà un seguito da giornate sul campo nel vostro paese in occasione della raccolta 2024.
You are also very welcome to visit us in France.
Siete inoltre invitati a venirci a trovare in Francia.
Feel free to ask us to organize a visit or to ask all your questions.
Non esitate a chiedere di organizzare una visita o di porre tutte le vostre domande.
Thanks also for attending the meeting. Thank you to the research station that shared the results. And a very special thank to Ségolène Dandin at CTIFL, Félix Bucheler at KOB, Philippe Fernandez at NIAB Ismaning, and to Gérard Gius, our translator, and to all our team.
Grazie per aver partecipato all'incontro, grazie alle stazioni di ricerca che hanno condiviso i loro risultati e un ringraziamento molto speciale a Ségolène Dandin del CTIFL, Félix Bucheler del COP, Philippe Fernandez del NIAB East Molly e a tutto il nostro team.
Thank you and have a good evening.
Grazie e buona serata a tutti.
Ciao.
Ciao.